Welcome everyone. Welcome back to Reiki Healing Hope Speaks. Yay! About to go into a nice aura combing session, but before I jump into that on Reiki Healing Hope ASMR, I wanted to talk about vibrational stuff, energy. What is that? What does it mean? What do vibrations mean? I'm constantly talking about changing your vibrational frequency or raising it or lowering it, or when you come into contact with situations, circumstances, and people, and everything is vibrational. Things aren't necessarily positive or negative in the like good or bad, type of things. And then, I was like, maybe y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe y'all are like, huh? So let me talk about this a little bit more. So we're going to get into what this all means. And essentially it's going to explain how Reiki works, or any energy healing modality, because it all shares the same fundamental principles. So let me just explain vibrations. Everything that we experience, ourselves, our memories, our opportunities, our relationships with others, our experiences. I feel like I already said that. Anyway, all of these things are vibrational. When we come into contact with something that is vibrating lower than us, the vibrational experience is a lower sensory experience than we are at in our normal range. We start to experience these things as uncomfortable, sad, angry, just general feelings of Depending on that vibrational frequency is how deep it is and for how long you've been exposed to it. Because you could be exposed to kind of this melancholy kind of situation over time and not realize how much your energy has slowly shifted. The best way to explain is, have you ever heard people say you are the company that you keep, or that you are the summation of the closest people around you? Basically, it's saying that your interactions with others and how you are, how they go about the world, how you go about the world. Okay. Must be touching something there. How you go about the world and how they go about the world is similar, because you all are around each other, so you're vibrating at a similar frequency. Just over time, it happens like that. Now, you can be happy-go-lucky, go into a working environment, and it's just a toxic working environment, and you notice over time you're just starting to get a little bit more negative. The opposite is true as well. You might be that pessimistic person, but you go into this creative, fun environment, and you start to think, well, maybe I can do more. Maybe I'm able to do this or able to do that. Same thing when you meet people or you go into new opportunities. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying vibrational frequency. In language, we can use other words or other terms for it, just how people are, what is their tendency based off of those around them, or even when you're vibrating by yourself. You're vibrating at a certain frequency based off of your life and how you go about your life and things that you've experienced. So sometimes people who aren't really stable there, they seek things outside of them to help balance them. Other times people are stable by themselves, but they get thrown off when there's people around them. What you want to work towards is finding a balance and work towards, getting better and evolving. And that takes time. That's increasing your vibrational frequency over time, but in a way that is sustainable. And let me give you some caveats. Let me give you some outliers here. If you go into an energy healing session, a very, very strong one, you could change a person. You could be the client, or you could be working on someone. You could change their vibrational frequency very quickly. Here's the problem with that. That is a traumatic transitional thing. Can you imagine if you were given something that you always wanted, the business of your dreams, okay? You started some great business, okay? And you just jumped into the future where it was already successful, and here it is, you're sitting as the CEO. Well, here's the problem. If you jump into that moment and you didn't live through, how do you manage people? How does this business actually work? How do you remain cool during times when things aren't going the way that you want to, but you just jump into it? Yes, that's good, but you're going to feel like maybe imposter syndrome, or you're going to feel like trying to catch up, or you're not going to see these opportunities as opportunities. You see them as challenges. You just start feeling scared. So the good thing about Reiki and any energy healing modality that takes its time and goes through these slow, incremental vibrational shifts is that you can go through these things and you can work through them in less of a like in your face, like now you gotta switch everything and you gotta just, work it out. No, just things move slowly through time. And that'll be really helpful when you're trying to shift your energy. Okay, so let me explain a little bit more into vibrations. Now, I'm not giving a blanketed statement of saying like, hey, avoid all lower vibrational experiences that you feel like are lower and embrace all higher vibrational experiences that you feel are higher, because I just gave an example of a very, very high vibrational shift that can be very uncomfortable and very traumatic for the body, because the physical body has to adjust to the energy. Okay, and that can be very traumatic on the physical body. Also, lower vibrational experiences have their own purpose too. That's why I said that things aren't necessarily good or bad. You can have your own moral compass of what you feel like is good or bad, but from an energy vibrational standpoint, things aren't necessarily good or bad, because you can be put in a situation that can feel lower vibrationally, but the point of it was to ignite something in you to propel you in another direction, which is good. Anybody ever just irritated you and you're like, I'm not going to take that, I'm about to do X, Y, and Z? That's using a lower vibrational experience as a way of motivation. Now, if you become dependent on, make me mad in order to motivate me, that's a problem. But really what it is no matter what the feelings or the vibrational patterns, or I'll use feelings to make it seem like easier to comprehend. No matter what the feelings are that you're going through, you should be able to use it for your benefit. Sometimes that means making movement. So if you're upset, you use that momentum to go forward, or things are going really well, so you use that, confidence, encouragement to go forward. And other times it could mean to slow down. Maybe things are moving so fast that you're like, hey, I don't feel like I'm really enjoying things. Yes, I can just keep going with the momentum, but let me slow down and let me stop. Or sometimes things will stop altogether, like we saw during, the year of 2020, to give you a reminder of just sitting and being in yourself. Are you who you want to be? Is this the path you truly want to have? If time was limited, how would you live your life to the fullest? All of these experiences that you experience on a day-to-day basis, which are different vibrational experiences, are purposeful. But you should never get stuck in one area. I see this all the time, people who are too afraid to feel their feelings. And I describe feelings as the paint on the canvas of life. If you are born and you are living in this moment, the purpose is to grow and to expand. And you're going to do that in multiple ways. You're going to do that through challenges. You're going to do that through opportunities. But all of those things are necessary. Be very weary of someone who says, once you do this, you will never feel pain and stress and sickness ever again. I mean, that's just not how the physical body works. A lot of the things that we experience and that we grow and we mature in and we learn about ourselves are so interconnected that challenges are fine, but it is being able to rise to the occasion with the challenges. And when people don't learn how to understand their energy, protect their energy, make slow changes, and to let go of the way that they used to be, their vibrational changes there, they feel like life is just happening to them instead of feeling like they are co-creating the life that they want. Everything that we do in energy healing, any modality, it starts with those vibrational shifts. Now, depending on your tradition, lineage, modality, there's different words that are trying to describe a similar thing. Like in traditional Chinese medicine, we have this concept of qi, which is your life force energy. We see in traditional African religion and spiritual traditions coming out of specifically the West African lineage, we hear or see this concept called the Ashe, which is your vital life force energy. And we can keep going on and on and on and on and on, going to different areas or going to different regions and different modalities of how they're trying to explain what's going on here. But at the core of it all, what it is it's a shift. Everything is interconnected. Who you are and the life you live and the people you're surrounded by and what you think and what you do and what you want and all that stuff is interconnected. So if you want to make a change, everything has to change. And if you make a change in one area, it impacts everything else. Some people want to change their vibrational frequency in love, but then they don't want to change it in these other areas that are important as well too, which is throwing the body off. So energy healing or vibration addresses everything. Even the mentality of lack. You can be someone who has a lot of physical money and still be in a lack mentality. You can be someone who doesn't have any money and be in a lack mentality. The mentality can be inherited by your, environmental situations in which that's how you looked at things, or you could have come to decide, some things didn't go well and you couldn't get over it, so that's what you think. But also, there are really successful people who have come from nothing and have been able to have an abundance mentality and just have opportunities come to them. There are people who have come from wealth and opportunity and have more opportunity that come to them because of the way of their vibrational energy. When we look at it like that, it kind of brings a sense of equity on an internal perspective. Now, we still live in a world and there's still all kinds of otherness and people being placed in boxes and X, Y, and Z. Totally understand that. And speak up in those spaces where you need to advocate for yourself and leverage your privilege in those spaces where you are privileged and you can help others. On an internal level, there is nothing that you can't have. And if you're not able to have it, it's because there's something bigger out there. Also, the concept of what you actually want and desire is important too. We might say, well, being rich and famous should be a generic kind of desire, but maybe what someone truly wants is the love of a child, the love of a parent, or being able to have the love of a passion. I always love to use like a painter or something like that. You just want to paint your pictures out in the sunset and it just brings you, satisfaction. And even though you feel like others are telling you, well, you should have maybe this career or that career, what really brings you happiness. It brings you happiness. And that's how you can attract that abundance in your life. And notice that thing that brings you happiness, once you invite it in and once you stick with it and you allow it to grow, you're able to have the financial means, you're able to have the support system. Even so, when you get really connected, you might be able to go on further than anyone's expectation of like what they think you could do because you're so connected. So you have to break the society's rules or even your own rules in order to understand vibrations. Now, for those who are specifically looking to heal, they have certain kind of healing things that they need. They're going through some type of thing. They're seeking a balancing within themselves. When you're doing that, there's an understanding of the soul to bring into perspective, why did you have this healing experience? Why was there a dis-ease or a disharmony within you that needed to be healed? What did you learn? Because that is that interconnectedness of that vibrational energy. It is not saying that someone deserved something. It is not saying that someone needs to be punished. I stray away from any of that kind of stuff. What it's saying is, what did your soul need to know, need to learn, need to experience by being in this exact situation? A lot of healers receive the healing calling by being very sick and having to figure out how to heal themselves. And that a part of that journey is their initiation. That's the interconnectedness of all of these things. So just to wheel it back a little bit to this vibrational energy, understand that whatever area in your life is important to you, you are able to change that now and able to make incremental changes over time. I also would let you know that when you make changes over time, that builds a sturdy foundation. So when, random things happen, it won't topple or knock things over, or you'll be able to deal with things. Experiencing life, experiencing the challenges gives you an opportunity to sit and be like, well, I was able to do that before, so I should be able to do that now. These are all of these principles and these shifts of when you change your mentality and change your focus and change the way that you understand. Now, I was all up here. Let me bring it back down to the practical aspects. Even though people tell me all the time that I'm very practical in the way that I explain things, I'm probably not as woo-woo as people might assume me to be. But at the end of the day, what do you want? What do you want right now in your life? Okay? Now tell yourself, I already have that. And live from that mentality of you already being in that space, and then allow the time to bridge together. Okay? So you'll go through the experiences of the different feelings. It will be okay. You're going to be fine. But imagine how it feels once you reach whatever it is that you want. Some common things people want. They want money. They want health. They want love. Oh, baby, I hear this all the time. They want LOVEE and affection. They want those kind of things. They are wanting to look for self-care practices as part of their balancing and their emotional and mental health awareness and wellness journey. All of these things. You can have that, and also pay attention to the answers that are around you. I don't know how many times that earlier in my journey, I thought, well, I have to go to this practitioner and they should be able to solve this. And if they can't solve it, they're not good and I have to go to that practitioner. When instead, it was a whole network of people. This person said what I needed to hear to go to that person. That person said what I needed to hear to go to that person. I was not able to receive, or I was not in the right position yet to be able to go to the 5th person down the line yet. But it was all a part of the journey. It was all meaningful in those moments. That's how vibrations work. You're slowly moving forward. Okay, I could talk about this on and on and on. Share your thoughts. Share your understandings. Share your insights. What did you think about this? And also, what are you about to change? What are you about to shift? Okay, I'll see you next week.